Welcome to the Arizona Early Intervention Program's presentation on the changes in screening. These changes are the result of new federal requirements for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Part C. This webinar is one in a series created to help Arizona's early intervention community understand and implement the new requirement effective July 1st, 2012. New regulations that affect policies and procedures are indicated in red font. In viewing this PowerPoint, you will need to advance the slides as you are ready. If a screening is conducted, prior written notice and consent are required. Teams must use an appropriate instrument. The screening process now allows for parents to request evaluation at any time, regardless of screening results. With consent, an evaluation must then be conducted. It also includes notifying parents of a child not suspected of having a delay of their ability to still request an evaluation. Screening processes are used for a child who does not have an established condition or other records to document eligibility of a 50% delay, or when an appropriate screening tool was not submitted with the referral, or for whom observation and parent report do not indicate a need to proceed directly to evaluation. In regards to the first bullet, it is important to ensure that a child has an established condition and not just risk factors. Children who have risk factors need to be screened. Also, the new regulations and resulting policies include some new established conditions that are highlighted in the eligibility PowerPoint. Please note the newest feature of the first bullet. Children who come in with records documenting eligibility by a 50% delay in one or more area of development do not need a screening. The second bullet indicates that a child referred comes with a copy of a current screening from a referral source such as Early Head Start or First Things First, or a developmental specialist from a doctor's office. They do not need a screening. The third bullet indicates that if, based on observation and parent report, the child is suspected of having a disability that would make him or her eligible for AZIP, they do not need a screening. Let's walk through the process. At the initial visit, the service coordinator explains the key principles and mission of early intervention. They provide prior written notice explaining the purpose of the screening and procedures used, including the parent's right to request an evaluation at any time during the screening process. The service coordinator also obtains consent for screening using the new form. At the initial visit, the service coordinator conducts a screening using an AZIP-approved screening instrument. They complete the vision screening using the AZIP Vision Screening Checklist. Complete the hearing screening tracking form to ensure current hearing screening results are documented. The service coordinator is required to use the AZIP data form on the initial visit to document demographic information and ethnicity. The AZIP data form is used to continue documenting decisions related to eligibility and IFSP development. The service coordinator is not required to use the initial planning tool. This is a draft of the new form. The service coordinator has the parent sign the form prior to engaging in any screening activities. After screening activities have been completed, the service coordinator provides prior written notice and explains results to parents. For children who are not suspected of having a delay in development, the service coordinator explains that AZEP is not proceeding to an evaluation and the basis for that decision. Parents may still request an evaluation. If the parent requests an evaluation, the service coordinator documents the request in the child's records and obtains consent to evaluate. If evaluation is not requested during the screening process, the service coordinator closes the file. For children who are suspected of having a delay in development, the service coordinator explains that AZEP is proposing to proceed to an evaluation and the basis for that decision. They obtain consent to evaluate if the parent wishes to proceed. If AZEP is proposing to proceed to an evaluation, or if the parent requests an evaluation, even though the child is not suspected of having a developmental delay, the service coordinator provides prior written notice and obtains consent for evaluation using the current AZEP form labeled Consent for Evaluation, Prior Written Notice. If the family does not request an evaluation at the end of the initial visit, the service coordinator follows procedures to close the child's paper and electronic record. If the parent were to call back prior to closing the electronic record and request an evaluation, the service coordinator would proceed by obtaining consent using the current AZEP form and coordinating the evaluation. Within the screening process, this prior written notice form would only be used if the decision is that AZEP is not proceeding to an evaluation. The service coordinator provides prior written notice using this form indicating AZEP's refusal to evaluate because the child is not suspected of having a developmental delay. The notice must include the parent's right to request an evaluation. Please submit any questions about this PowerPoint to allazep2@azdes.gov. For more information about AZEP, you may visit their website at www.azdes.gov/AZEP. Thank you for viewing this PowerPoint.